Hey everyone, I'm Sid. So I recovered from severe head-to-toe eczema using science-based evidence, and I got frustrated with the lack of progress in my condition for so many years. So I took matters into my own hands. For 5 years, I read thousands of studies on PubMed, which is the go-to library for evidence-based medical and scientific research, consulted over 20 specialist doctors, and pulled all the information together to execute a plan to minimize my eczema triggers. Now I want to share all the information that took years to gather so you don't have to. Now let me be clear, I am not a doctor, I am simply just someone who refused to give up. In this video, as a follow-up to my previous one on dust mites, I'll be explaining how to significantly reduce your exposure to these tiny little bugs. This British Society for Allergy and Clinical Immunology summary highlights that dust mites love warm and humid environments and feed mainly on the skin flakes we shed, which is most common in areas like clothing, pillows, mattresses, and carpets. A study from the National University Hospital in Copenhagen also emphasizes that priority should be given to removing dust mites from these areas in your home. The first strategy is washing your clothes and bedding regularly at high temperatures and doing it the right way. So here's what the research says. A Manchester hospital found that dry heat up to 140 degrees Celsius is needed to remove all dust mite allergens. Don't worry, that's dry heat. In water, these allergens dissolve easily, making a washing machine a powerful ally, especially at higher temperatures. The evidence for this comes from the Institute of Respiratory Medicine in Australia, which tested different washing methods for removing DER-P1, a major dust mite allergen. So here's what they found after 60 minutes of washing at 45 degrees Celsius and 60 degrees Celsius. So temperature clearly enhances the effectiveness of dust mite allergens removal in laundry. Adding a soap or detergent further boosts its effect. But be mindful though, you want a detergent that's powerful enough to eliminate allergens, but gentle enough not to irritate your already sensitized skin, which will defeat the purpose of all this effort. So look for detergents that are fragrance-free, free from parabens and allergens, and are hyperallergenic. So pay close attention to how your skin reacts. Some trial and error is often necessary to find out what works best for you. Personally, I use the LG or Samsung washing machine that goes all the way up to 95 degrees Celsius with a steam function as well, paired with half a cup of this detergent. Through trial and error, I found this particular detergent to be safe, but everyone's skin is different, so you need to see what works best for you. And also, for full transparency, there is no product affiliation here. And there's also no study specifically examining the impact of such high temperatures with a steam function on dust mite allergens alongside this detergent. I'm just assuming it's even more effective than the results we discussed earlier, which only tested all the way up to 60 degrees Celsius. Also, it's best to keep in mind these settings that I've chosen do annoyingly increase your energy bill, so it's also something to consider. Let's move on to the second strategy, targeting household items that are reservoirs for dust mites naturally. Carpets, rugs, fabric sofas, curtains, and soft toys naturally trap these dust mite allergens deep within their fibers. So the British Society for Allergy and Clinical Immunology recommends replacing carpets with laminate, wood, or tile flooring as a long-term goal for managing dust mite exposure. And they're not alone. A study out of Copenhagen's National University Hospital backed this up, showing that removing carpets significantly lowered indoor allergen levels. Now, from my own experience, once I realized how sensitive I am to dust mites, I made a goal of mine to reduce these allergens at home. Over time, I saved up and replaced carpets and rugs with laminate flooring, even on the stairs. I also swapped fabric curtains for blinds and switched fabric sofas and leather sofas. It was a big, annoying, and tough investment, requiring me to sacrifice spending on other things as well, but it helped both my eczema and asthma on a personal level. But let's be honest, this kind of change is ridiculous, expensive, and disruptive, and no one can do it overnight. It really is a long-term action. So let's also focus on what you can do right now that can make a real difference. A review from New Jersey's Environmental and Occupational Health Services Institute found that regular vacuuming with a HEPA filter significantly reduced dust mite allergens in carpets. Another study from a hospital in Taiwan showed that vacuuming of mattresses reduced dust mite levels by over 85% after 8 weeks of daily vacuuming. However, I want to be completely transparent. A review from the National University of Singapore pointed out that vacuuming may help, but the evidence is mixed and more high quality research is needed. One important concern raised by the Australian Society of Clinical Immunology and Allergy in the 2024 FAQ document is that regular vacuuming can make allergens airborne for some time, making them more likely to be inhaled or settle on your skin, which is a problem. Now, many expert guidelines like this one still offer some practical steps to help minimize potential risk while vacuuming. So if possible, ask a non-allergic family member to do the vacuuming, and if not, maybe consider wearing a mask while vacuuming and leaving the room for 20 to 30 minutes after vacuuming if possible, just to minimize that risk. So now on the final strategy, bed covers. So mattresses, pillows and duvets, they're ideal environments for dust mites. Why? Because they're warm, humid and collect a lot of dead skin cells, which is what dust mites feed on. And since we spend about a third of our lives in bed, it's an important area to address. And that's why the British Society for Allergy again recommends using dust mite proof covers on your mattresses, pillows and duvets. These covers create a physical barrier against the allergens, helping to reduce your exposure by limiting contact with your skin. So how do we actually ensure these covers actually work, because there's so many on the market? A hospital in Manchester found that dust mite allergens can be as small as 1.1 microns. That's nearly 1,000th of a millimeter. So for a cover to actually be effective, it needs a weave tight enough to block particles that small. Now I used to think that regular bed sheets, duvet covers and pillowcases were enough protection. They are a barrier, right? But they're not designed to block particles that small at that micron level. Like everyday clothing, the weave is simply too loose to stop these dust mite allergens from passing through. And that's why it's important to use specially designed dust mite proof covers underneath your regular bedding. But I want to give you the full picture as always. In 2014, a comprehensive review of 24 clinical trials on mattress covers found that although these covers significantly reduced house dust mite levels in mattresses, there was no clear evidence that they actually improved eczema symptoms. So what explains this? So one reason could be the varying quality of the dust mite proof covers used across these 24 clinical trials. Different materials and weave tightness affect how well they would block allergens. And more importantly, eczema is a complex condition influenced by multiple triggers, and no single change is likely to be a silver bullet. So while strong scientific evidence directly linking dust mite covers to eczema improvement is limited, we still have evidence for dust mites being an aggravating factor for eczema. So I believe it still makes sense to minimize as many evidence-based triggers as possible, because every small step counts when managing a complex condition like eczema. So after doing a lot of research, I chose a microfiber bed cover that claims to block 99.7% of particles as small as 0.1 microns, which is even smaller than dust mite allergens. The company also claims it was developed with input from the Danish Asthma and Allergy Association. Just to be clear though, I am not affiliated with this company in any way, and I don't receive anything for recommending it. It's simply the best option I've found so far. If you found a product that works well for you, please share in the comments. This channel is all about building a community focused on supporting each other. So in this video, we've covered the main ways to significantly reduce dust mite exposure, which is important if you're sensitized to dust mites. So thank you so much for your time, everyone. Please subscribe to the channel, hit the bell icon and follow me on social media so you'll be the first to see my upcoming videos on evidence-based eczema strategies.